This is the Living in Clarity podcast. I'm Coach Ratner, and we're here at Old City Radio Studios to film our latest episode, and we have a very special guest today, Corey Drucker. It's great to see you, Corey.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, you know, one thing about you I'm very excited about, you like living in clarity, don't you?
Very much so.
So tell me, what are some things in your life that you do that help you to live in clarity?
You know, I think it has to start with waking up in the morning. You know, it's what are you waking up to do? When you go to bed, you're making that checklist in the morning, or for the morning, to get up and do something.
Yes.
Right? So what are you doing? So what we do every single morning, the both of us and millions of other people, the first word out of our mouth in the morning is thank you.
Yes.
Right? It's not, I want this, I want that. It's thank you.
Yes.
And so what are we living for? We're living to be thankful.
We're thankful we're waking up in the morning.
We're thankful we're waking up in the morning, but there's so much more to it than that.
Yes.
Right? So when something happens to us during the day, we can revert back to what we did. There's this great TED Talk about making your bed in the morning.
Sure.
Right? Why do you make your bed in the morning? Because you succeeded in something that morning.
Yeah.
So when you go back and you start thinking about it, what the human psychology does, it reverts back to what happened earlier that day and then past experiences. But what's happening now is the first thing that you did is you're saying thank you.
You know,
right?
It's funny because my day has actually started the night before. I am
hear that.
set up. I am set up the night before to be ready because in the morning, I have to walk the dog.
For sure.
I go to Minion. I also have to make the lunches for my children. I have right now 4 children at home, and I make their lunches. And I also make my wife and I like a fruit bowl. I've been like for 2 years. I've been eating fruit bowls with some nuts, and that's it. A little bit of syrup and salt. It's great. For 2 years, I still love it because the fruit changes all the time. So the night before, I make the fruit bowls. I make sure that my kitchen is completely clean. I make sure I have in my mind what I'm making for all my kids, or I write it down. I don't take the bread out of the freezer because I want the bread to be fresh when I heat it up in the morning, for the sandwiches. But I am prepared the night before I even go to bed. And I wake up in the morning and I say, Modeh lefanecha, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, God, for returning my soul to me. Thank you. I can wake up. I can make decisions. I can walk to the bathroom. All the holes, which, by the way, most people take this for granted, that
sure.
every hole you have in your body works the right way because it goes against gravity. Right? Gravity, they say if you want to, water always finds the lowest point, So we have holes and the water doesn't leak out, and.
Well, not only that, if our body didn't function, our legs would be massive because our legs would fill up with water.
Oh, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, you die.
Horrible.
Yeah. So what else are you thankful for?
What else am I thankful for? Every single morning, I get to wake up and I look over and I have a brand new newborn. He's 6 weeks old right now.
Mazel tov.
And it's just absolutely incredible to see him just passed out in his little crib that's attached to our bed.
Aren't you waking up like at 4 a.m?
So?
Yeah, okay.
Just because I wake up and it's dark out doesn't mean he's still not like the most beautiful thing I ever see.
Yeah.
And I wake up and I just get to see and just say like, wow, look at the life I have the opportunity to build, right? Everything might not be working out the way I want it to be or the way I expected it to be, but I still get to be thankful for what I have, right? And get to look forward to the future. If we look in our past and we say, was yesterday a good day? What am I going to be doing here? It's not really the best way to live your life, right? But if you're thankful, that means that you're thankful for everything that was in the past and everything that's going to come up in the future. And you get to actually live your life in the present. And I feel most people today, they have such a hard time living their life in the present.
Sure. Yeah, they say yesterday's past, tomorrow's the future, but today, the present is a gift.
It's a gift.
It's a gift. It is a gift. And we have to live in the moment of the life that we're in, whether it's good or it's bad. And that's the very hard thing that people have a hard time being thankful, having gratitude when things are going bad.
Mm-hmm. I want to say, like, there's a story of the Baal Shem Tov, and he says, I don't know it exactly, but that every bracha that we received and that we even daven for is there waiting for us. It's just sometimes it's packaged in the present of a challenge. And are you willing to overcome that challenge? And then the bracha is right there for you.
The blessing.
The blessing.
Maybe
right
that challenge is going to help bring about that blessing that we have in our life.
For sure.
And we don't see it.
And that's part of it, right? We don't necessarily know what is the best thing for us, but we know what we want. and we know what we ask for. And so one of the things that we could work towards is say, you know what, there's this challenging thing in my life. I want to overcome that, and we can see what's on the other side. Maybe on the other side is everything I'm asking for.
Yeah, there's a Gemara, ancient Jewish wisdom, that says for every bad thing that happens to you in life, something good is going to come from it.
For sure.
And so this is why we should be thankful. Thank God for everything in our life that's good. Obviously, we think it's good. Don't want to take anything for granted. It's funny if you ask, when I teach classes to non-observant Jews or non-observant people at all, and I say, "What's your favorite holiday?" And I say, "Not Jewish holiday. What's your favorite holiday?" And they'll say Thanksgiving. Why Thanksgiving?
Because it's a day where everybody gets together and you're just surrounded by family and nobody's thinking about anything in the past or the future, and you're just eating and spending time together that you don't have the opportunity to have any other day of the year because we don't make it a priority in our lives.
Yeah, this is why the holiday Shabbat, the Jewish holiday, comes every single week. It's such an amazing day because it allows you to put everything else aside, all the accoutrements we have in our life, our cars and our businesses and our meetings and our birthday parties and our shopping and our internet use and all these different things we have in our life. We put it aside and we spend the day with our family and our community, and we get to thank God for everything that he's given to us. And it's hard to do. That's why Thanksgiving is amazing, because Thanksgiving, no one's planning meetings for Thanksgiving Day. I think a lot of these stores that were opening on Thursday nights decided, we're not doing this anymore for our employees. And
That's
they've
a
decided,
good thing.
and because what happened was
Black
Friday started, and they started making it. I don't remember when I was little. Black Friday, I wouldn't call it Black Friday when I was little. Like the stores would open like at 9 o'clock. And people would be camped out the store. Like, let's open at 8. Let's open at 7. Let's open at 3 a.m. And let's open the night before. Let's just destroy the holiday of Thanksgiving and have all people shopping.
Yeah.
And it bothered me.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I think it bothered me too, because you're taking what an entire culture deemed as a holiday, something to be thankful for and get together as a family, and now you're separating the family unit again.
Yeah.
And you're saying, your family's great and all, and it's probably why you have a job to make money, is to support this family of yours, and we appreciate it, but in the end of the day, come to work instead.
Yeah, or hurry up and eat your dinner, finish watching the Dallas Cowboys game, and get to Walmart, right?
Exactly.
Get there fast so you can get the Beanie Baby, whatever they're going to sell that year.
Whatever the new
that year's Beanie Baby. Yeah, so it's amazing. Abraham Lincoln in 1863 made a proclamation, and he said we're going to and you can Google this with Rabbi Google, actually, and he said that every state in the Union celebrated a day of Thanksgiving, but it was different days of the year in November. And he said, we're going to make it the fourth Thursday of every November where the country can come together. He said, we're going to thank the Almighty that our country, which was at war, as 1863, was at war, civil war. And we were very vulnerable at that time in our country's birth. And we could have had another nation come in and destroy us, and they didn't. And now we're going to have a day of thanking God. And that's what the day of Thanksgiving is about. And so he made it that particular day, and it's people's favorite holiday. If you're not Jewish, it's your favorite holiday. And if you are, unless it's Christmas or something. But if you are Jewish, it's still one of your favorite holidays.
Well, I even know a lot of people that aren't religious, and they're like, well, I don't want Christmas because it's too religious for me.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that much religion left in Christmas.
No, it's become a really
a Hallmark holiday.
Madison Avenue marketing holiday.
100%.
Yeah.
I think we used to joke about this growing up. Like, at what point are they going to start selling the next holiday? Because you'd go October and Thanksgiving, what is it, Halloween?
Yes.
And then November is Thanksgiving, and then December is Christmas, and then you have New Year's. And so every year we'd start seeing, Halloween ended. Let's go straight into selling Thanksgiving stuff.
Well, Hallmark makes up holidays.
That is
every
very
day
true.
Because they want to sell cars. So, it's Secretary Day, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day,
Boss Appreciation
Day, it's Sister Day, it's Daughter Day, it's Sunday. They just keep it. It's Doggy Day. Dogs. I'm sure dogs have it.
Bring your kid to work day card.
Labradoodle Day. I'm sure they have specific days just for your type of dog. So you can go out and buy your dog a card at Hallmark, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the ways that I get clarity in life personally is when I was on my Jewish journey. I was not raised in an observantly Jewish home. I started learning a concept called the 48 Ways of Wisdom. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm sure you've learned this. Is that correct?
Yep.
The 48 Ways of Wisdom is taken from the Mishnah, our Jewish oral Torah, and it talks about the different 48 ways that you need to get wisdom in life to live with clarity. It's also a way when you're learning Torah for the first time, in order to bring, or learning any sort of religion for the first time, to bring God into your heart.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to have concept with God when you never really lived a God-centric focused life, and it helps to allow your heart to open up.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I also think that this is also an antidote for people who are having a hard time getting married,
Okay.
because
Can you explain that more?
yeah, because I don't think they. I think they put blocks, and they don't allow people to open. They don't open themselves up to allow other people in their heart,
For sure.
because there has a specific. They have to be like this. Like, I did a whole podcast called "You Don't Know Your Type Until You Meet Your Type,"
Okay.
because people have their types you have to meet. Like, and you weren't like that, by the way.
I was not like
you
that.
were very open when you were dating.
100%.
Yeah, and when they get some of this wisdom in their life, they understand joy, they understand fear, they understand what it means to listen. One of the big things in the 48 Ways of Wisdom is listening. They'll be more open to allowing other people into their heart, into their universe. I like to look at it as a shape sorter. If you remember when you were little, and you have how old's your baby now?
He's 6 weeks.
Oh, what a cutie pie.
Yes. We can bring him in soon.
When they get to be about 6, 7, 8 months,
Okay.
they'll start playing with shapes and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they'll put them to the bin.
The star goes into the star.
Star, right, and they can't fit it in.
The cube goes into the cube.
And so the smart kid's gonna take the lid off and just throw it in. And when you're in the dating world, you have your specific type you have to have that fits into your life. Well, you make it much harder in order to meet someone. And so you got to take off that lid and get rid of that shape sorter and just shape sorter. I can't say that word, shape sorter.
Okay.
And the 48 Ways helps you to really bring someone into your life. Yeah.
For sure. I also think you mentioned a really good point earlier, because you said like to open your heart, right? And I think especially in Judaism, it's very much about your heart, and it's how you connect to people. That's how you connect to Hashem. Yeah. But there's another aspect, which is your brain, right? And Chazal, the great sages back in the day, say that the furthest point that a person has is from his mind to his heart.
That was actually Rabbi Salanter. So the greatest distance in the world is between your brain and your heart.
Yeah. And so so something that we also need to live with when we're living with clarity, we have to know the truth and know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then it's much easier to open our hearts. Because if we don't know why we're doing something, it's very hard to just go and do it. Right? Like there's some Jewish traditions and there's some, college traditions that they have. And they're just like, this is what we do because we've done it for 100 years since the university was founded. And we're just going to keep doing it. And we don't know why or if we're doing it right anymore. Right? And there's something special and unique about Judaism that we've been doing the same thing for thousands of years. I think it's a shame that a lot of people today have forgotten the why behind it. Sure. And we're just kind of going about the motions.
Well, if you don't know the why, you can't do the how.
I mean, we have halacha to say this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know if it's the best thing for us.
If you don't know why, when I start learning Torah, I'm like, if I don't know the why would I want to do it? I want to know why I'm doing these things. Now, we know there's certain things in Jewish law that we don't know the why.
Sure, a chok.
The chok, they're called choks. These are commandments, mitzvahs that people will make answers for you to give you an answer. For example, one of the big ones that's a chok is kosher. Why do we keep kosher?
For sure.
Now, people, if you go ask your neighborhood rabbi, he's going to say, well, because it keeps the Jewish people separate. They don't have to eat with the non-Jews, or it's because all the animals that are kosher are tame animals. There's no wild animals that are.
And they have special physiological features that.
Well, that's a different.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay, we're getting into area of like proof of God and proof of Torah.
Yeah,
that we can go there. We can go there.
Sure
I'm okay.
We're gonna go there.
Let's go, babe. Let's go.
We're gonna go there.
I am completely blown away about the concept, because in some European countries now they've been trying to ban what's called
Shchita.
Shchita is
kosher slaughter.
Yeah, in the non-kosher world, when they killed an animal, they use electric stick.
So you can either use electric stick, gas, a bolt gun.
Yeah.
You can use a whole plethora of ways to harvest your meat.
Yes. So one of the ways the only way that you have to do it in Shemitah not Shemitah, Shrita, confusing with Shemitah,
Yeah.
is they have to have a sharp knife
A sharp knife
with no
nicks.
nicks on it whatsoever. And I don't know all the details of that
Me
knife.
either.
I haven't gotten to that Gemara yet. And they have to quickly cut the windpipe and the blood pipe of the animal.
Yeah.
Now, what's unbelievable is that every kosher animal, I should say this, every non-kosher animal has the vein that goes from their brain to the rest of their body in the back of the neck.
It's two actually, from
Two of
my
them.
understanding.
Okay, two of
One,
them.
it's an artery that goes from like their heart through the front of the neck to their brain,
Yes.
and the vein goes from the back of the neck to the like the rest of the body. Or it might be the opposite, something like that.
So
But they're not together.
they're not together.
They're not together.
Every kosher animal has those two veins
Yep.
next to their windpipe right in front. So when they shecht an animal, the animal
Shecht is the term that we use to
kill the animal,
to
they
kill the
ignite the
animal.
animal.
Just
The
to-
animal doesn't feel it because the blood has now stopped flowing to the brain.
Yep.
So there's no
They even did studies, I think, in Europe to find what is the most humane way to kill an animal, and they attached sensors to these different animals
Yes.
as they were killing them to see how long the spike of pain would be. And the only one that had zero evidence of any pain was the kosher slaughtering.
Yeah. That's pretty. I know it's funny. I just learned that like about a year ago, and I was completely blown away.
Did we talk about that about a year ago?
I don't know if we talked about it. 'Cause I
Okay.
haven't seen you much recently, but the so that's what's considered a hok is it's a mitzvah, it's a commandment that we don't understand why we're doing.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think though something like going back to it to really bring a point out is, you know, we're choosing to live a life, and there's some things that we don't know why we do it, and we're okay with it because we have this foundational piece to say, I know the way I'm living is the best way I'm living. I think for a little like a side conversation that we could jump into again is, what does the word Torah translate to?
It means instruction.
Instructions. So what is God giving us? God gave Moshe Rabbeinu something called the Torah at Har Sinai,
Mount Sinai.
Mount Sinai, thousands of years ago, right? So what is he? If we translate it into English, that means that God gave Moshe a book of instructions. Now, what are these instructions to?
Well, just like anything else you buy in the world, we just bought an air fryer. By the way,
Nice.
love
Okay.
it. Oh my gosh, game changer in the kitchen. Why even have an oven anymore, right? When you have an air fryer, I'm like, why have I have a meat oven, I have a dairy oven? Like, just buy like 6 air fryers, and you know, like, why have an oven? You say,
Especially if it has a rice cooker in it for this country.
Like,
you're
it's
set.
crazy. It's like we use it. It makes the best French fries. Like
Oh,
better
yeah?
than anything they sell in this. Anyway, and use very little oil. Anyway, it comes with an instruction manual. Not that I read it, but it comes with one.
Same with your phone.
My phone.
Your phone comes with instruction manual. Your computer comes with instruction manual.
But even like, I mean, maybe not. Maybe a what do you call it when you peel vegetables? A vegetable peeler that might not come with instructions, right? Because that's kind of obvious.
In all honesty, it should, because some
It
people
probably
nick
does.
their fingers.
Right.
No, have you ever done it? And you nick
Everything.
the bit of your thumb and it comes right off and you're bleeding, and now you gotta, like, it should come with an instruction manual.
Everything
Watch
in the
out.
world has instructions.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
A car, instructions for the instructions.
Look, it's just like a car, right? It has an instruction manual, and in the instruction manual, it'd say at 7,500 miles, you need to change your oil.
Yes.
How you do it is not in the instruction manual, but there are other instructions for that.
Sure, it's
Right?
It's amazing.
But it says in order for you to get the most life and the most usage out of your car, you change the oil every 7,500 miles. Right? So what's this thing that Moshe Rabbeinu received? He received an instruction manual for the human.
Yes.
The human, we are, in layman's terms, we're like a machine in a sense, right? We have certain things that function certain ways.
And most of us
and
not
we need
running it
to-
very well either, by the way.
It's
Sorry to interrupt you,
very
but
true.
most of us not running our human body very well, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. Like, and that's by the way, it stands for PIES: physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual. That's my acronym for PIES I use all the time, because if we don't know how to run our life, how can we live the best life possible? How can we reach our potential in life? How can we live with clarity?
We can't.
We can have an instruction manual.
If you can't walk down the block without huffing and puffing, you can't live the best life that you possibly can.
No.
you know. So you have to get out there and you have to exercise. And there are all these people out there that are saying what's the best way to do it, right? And it's like, just get out and go for a walk.
I get off topic sometimes, just so you know, and I want to
You and
mention
me
to you,
both.
right? But we want to get back to this idea of we're talking about Shemitah and hopes.
Okay.
But I want to talk about how when I go and rent a car when I rent cars now and it's freezing outside, I can't figure out how to turn the air heating on. Like it used to be, you had
It
two
used to be
buttons.
dial.
You dial basically hot, cold, high, low, and that was it. And the vents, you just kind of adjusted yourself. You can close, open, and move in your way.
Yep.
Easy. Now it's like this whole system.
It's a touch screen. And you get into the settings
I
menu.
can't figure out how to get in there.
Yeah.
And I had a car recently at Ford the last week when I was in Orlando that had the touch screen. I couldn't figure out how to get it on. And thank God when I was in DC one time, it was freezing. I had heated seats. I couldn't figure out how to heat on. I couldn't do it. It's too complicated. Right?
It's just funny
And that's
how,
just heating
how
air
we
conditioning.
make something so complicated now.
Yeah. Anyway, so we mentioned the idea of kosher being a hope, being a mitzvah we don't understand. And there are lots of things that we do in our life we don't understand. The things you do in your life you don't understand that are not even religion or, have to do with religion, right? Let alone a lot of things we do. Like you just had a bris for your baby boy.
I did.
A mazel tov. I was there.
you.
It was very nice. Now, what blows me away about this is that the Torah says that a baby boy has to have a bris on the 8th day of his life.
Okay.
You've heard of this, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's funny. So I have a friend, Rabbi Cheplowitz, who's in Palm Beach Gardens.
Yeah.
And he's a moil. He does brisses.
Okay. Amazing.
And he lives in a very, very Jewish area, and he doesn't have that much business because most people choose to have their baby circumcised at the hospital on the first or second or third day, which is ridiculous. There's a reason why the Torah says to have it on the 8th day. We don't understand it. It's probably, again,
a hoax.
it's a hoax.
Yeah.
But science has proved that a baby produces a certain
Vitamin K.
Vitamin K.
I know it very well. There's actually a vitamin K shot that they give kids nowadays to make sure that they have enough for the first few days of life.
Right.
Because they don't start producing it.
We passed on that one
too.
We passed on that one.
I'm just saying there is a shot.
Yeah. Everyone takes it, I'm sure. Anyway, so scientists have proved that the baby produces very little vitamin K in its first 7 days.
No, so I think it's like 10%, 30%, 40%, 50, and it gets up to on the 7th day 100% vitamin K.
Yes.
And the 8th day, it gets the most a human will ever have for all 120 years of their life.
Yes.
It gets to what they call 110%.
Sure.
Which doesn't make sense to me. It should just be the 8th day is 100, and then you go back down to 90.
Whatever.
Right?
I don't know how to calculate it.
And then it goes down to the
Normal.
average range
Right.
of vitamin K that you have for the rest of your life until you die.
Sure.
And that's only on the 8th day that happens.
Yeah.
That occurrence is there.
I was reading a atheist website
Okay.
a number of years ago.
I love those.
Yes, and it said people asked that question,
Okay.
and the answers were mind-boggling. People commented the Jews are smart, and they figured out through trial and error that the 8th day was the healthiest day for baby to have a bris.
You also know, though, my baby didn't have it on the 8th day.
That's right. Why?
So why not? Because unfortunately, he was a little sick. He was a little sick, and we had to wait, I believe, like 3.5 weeks.
Sure.
To have his bris. I think it was like 3 days before his 4th week of life.
Okay.
Why is that? Whatever it was, he was a little sick. We had to be in the NICU for quite some time.
How long were you in the NICU for?
3 weeks
Oh,
and a little bit, and then what Jewish law mandates is afterwards, after you get out, you get a clean bill of health from the doctor. Then you have to wait an additional 7 days to make sure that the baby really is good, even though the doctor said he's fine. And then after that, you can have the bris.
Nice.
So we did end up waiting. I think we waited about 4 weeks to have our bris. And, to me, it felt a little bit more special because it wasn't on the 8th day. And it was a very special moment. That being said, too, it was, not how it's supposed to be in a perfect world. So
The world's not perfect.
the world is not perfect.
And there are leniencies and there are outs for certain things and situations like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it's even if we did trial and error, what happens when there's a sick baby? You know, at what point do you say, okay, go for it?
Yeah.
How do you know that Jewish law has been set up for thousands of years? And when we're going through it, we're not going through it based upon trial.
Sure.
There was no trial. I mean, Avram Avinu, when did he have his bris?
He had his bris when he was 80 or something. Right?
99 years old, I
99
think.
years, okay.
Right? And so he's this very old man, older than most people get today. And that's when he had his bris, right? It could have been at 99 we have our bris. It could be Ishmael. He had his bris at 13 years old.
Yes.
It could have been at 13. It would have been a challenge for us, but I'm sure most of us would do it at that point. And it is a shame that a lot of people do it in the hospital and not have a really beautiful ceremony.
Sure. And a nice meal.
And a nice meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm extra lucky. I actually did my son's bris.
You did.
I
always make sure when I go to bris, I'm kind of in the back of the room.
I understand.
I mean, I don't want to pass
I
out.
get that.
Like,
I was right there. You know,
You did the bris.
I did the bris. Yeah. It was a very moving experience.
Yeah.
No, it really was.
There was a moil there, though?
There was a moil there.
Who was it?
Moshe Chaim Eid.
Oh,
Rabbi
nice.
Eid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It was a very experienced moil that allowed me to do it.
did you train on anybody? Did you practice?
On anybody? I practiced on my finger. This one's a little shorter now, you know?
Yeah.
No, I think we sat down for like 5 minutes, a little bit before, maybe like an hour before, and he took out some latex gloves and he took the knife out and he's like, we're not going to use this one because it might dull. I have a different knife.
Let's not even talk about it anymore because even just talking
I
about
just practice.
it just
Practice
for
makes
some reason,
perfect.
Some reason the shechita, the killing of the animals didn't bother me, but like the bris,
The
like,
human aspect?
Oh, God.
I do get very queasy when it comes to human injuries. But
I'm queasy
yeah.
right now just talking about it.
I hear. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
We can move back.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but there's something very unique about Jewish law. You know, the atheists, they can say, oh, they're just very smart people. And, you know, I think it was, I listened to something I think Jordan Peterson said. He said the average IQ of Ashkenazi Jews is 115,
Right.
which is above, that means the average of us is higher than the average of pretty much every other person, because the average for humans is 100.
I think they said the
we're
average for anti-Semite is 80.
Okay, that's fair.
Isn't that,
You know,
funny?
it
Isn't
might
that
be-
crazy?
Oh,
I
actually-
read a stat that said it's 20 below the average human.
Really?
I don't know if it's true because I don't understand the
I don't know about that. I mean, we can read it together if we want.
yeah. So I've been learning with my rabbi in the morning about the calendar, the Jewish calendar.
Okay.
So the Jewish year is lunar year. It's based on the moon.
Correct. Yep.
And the moon cycle, people, if you ask what the moon cycle is, will say about 29 and a half days,
Mhm.
right? But it's actually 29 days,
Okay.
12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3 1/3 seconds. It's called a helic, right?
Yep.
Right? 3 1/3 seconds. And when,
Hang on. Wait, how do we know that? Can we?
ahead.
Where does it come from? Just say where it comes from.
no, you just go ahead, please.
It comes from a Gemara,
Yes.
right? And you're gonna go on to say NASA.
Well, NASA, once they got the Hubble telescope up into space, they were able to, because it's always been like a second off with scientists.
Right. Well, that's why the Gregorian calendar has every 4 years as a leap year to make up that time. No, that's solar. That's
It's
solar.
different. It's different.
It's
Well,
different.
the regular calendar that we go on 365 days a year,
Right, that's-
it's actually 365 and a quarter days a year. So every 4 years, we have to lose a day because we've gained.
Gain a day.
We have to
Gain a day.
we have to gain a day to make up for that 4
Yeah,
quarter days.
yeah.
Right, you're correct. Gain a day. So the Jewish calendar is based on lunar, and when they finally got Hubble into space and they were able to measure the lunar cycle at a much closer rate, it came
Precise
closer.
measurement.
It's not exact, but it came closer to what the Jews have been doing for thousands and
I
thousands
think
of
it's
years.
like 2 minutes off their thing.
2 minutes a month, or 2 minutes?
2 minutes off. No, for one cycle.
Okay,
Like they have it like 29 days, 12 hours, and I think their minutes are just a little off.
I don't know the difference.
Something like that. Like it's incredibly close. And we didn't have the Hubble telescope when this was written.
No.
We knew that this was a thing before it was written down, because that's how we had to establish our months.
Yeah.
That is a crazy thing. Because when you think about it, it's like, how could we have known that?
How can they set the calendar for thousands of years? How do they do that?
Ooh, the Anshei Knesset?
Yeah, that's kind of so. 2,000 years ago, they set the Jewish calendar for I don't know how long, maybe 6,000 years.
Until Mashiach, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
6,000 years they set it for, and
I mean,
it's
technically,
not
it can just
wrong.
keep going.
Huh?
It can keep going because I think how they set it up is, in a way,
Does it repeat itself?
it can repeat itself.
It doesn't repeat itself every 19 years, though, does it? I don't think
No,
so.
that's when the
Leap year
Jewish
counts.
day and the English day will line up
Every 19 years.
every 19 years. So if like January 11th was on a Thursday, and it was Yud Tet Tevet, whatever it was, in 19 years, January 11th will be on a Thursday.
Okay.
Yud Tet Tevet will also be on that
Oh, that's
Thursday.
pretty funny.
Something like that.
I know it's a 19-year cycle for leap years. I know that cycle.
No, it's more than that.
No, it's we have a leap year on the
We have a
Jewish
leap
calendar.
year. I think
Every
it's like
third-
2 years, 3 years.
It's 3,
Oh,
6,
on a 19. Okay.
3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, 19.
Right.
And I'm going to give you something very interesting. This is kind of a deep idea here.
Okay.
We are in the 8th year of that cycle, which means in the Jewish calendar, because there's only 354 days a year in the Jewish year.
Yep.
Every year we lose 11 days.
Okay.
So the holidays get 11 days earlier based on the Gregorian calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a concept in Torah that the holiday of Passover, Pesach, must be in the spring. Now, if we didn't set leap years, which means we have a leap year, we add an extra month of Adar in, which pushes that calendar back pushes back 30 days, exactly
Right.
30 days.
Yeah.
If we didn't change, by the way, if you look at the Muslims that have Ramadan,
Oh, it could be any month of the year.
they don't adjust their calendar because their calendar is based on solar and lunar.
No, ours is based on solar and lunar. Theirs is based solely on lunar,
Okay,
just on lunar. Because
So
we have a solar aspect to it.
so since that happens, Ramadan, where they fast from morning to evening,
Yep.
can be any time of the year, whether winter or winter.
It could be in the summertime with 12-hour
Which,
fast, and it could be
crazy.
in the wintertime with 6-hour fast,
Yeah.
7-hour. Yeah.
So the Jewish calendar, when we have to add that extra month in, that 30 days pushes Passover closer to the summer,
Correct.
which is this year. We're in the
Yep.
8th year of that cycle. Two of those, this is a little complicated. Two of those leap years happen when there's only one break between a leap year. And this
Yes.
is this year.
Yes.
So the 6th year of the calendar was a leap year. The 7th year wasn't, which was last year. Now we're in the 8th year, which means we didn't get pushed back 2 11-day cycles, only one 11-day cycle,
Mhm.
which means the holidays, especially Passover, gets pushed closest to the summer on the 8th year and the 19th year
Yep.
of the cycle, which is closer to what they call Esau's summer. Because in the summertime,
Okay.
and our Jewish calendar is when all the destructions of the temple happen, all the bad
Ah.
things, all the horrible things to the Jewish people happened in the summertime.
Right.
Where we have the 9-day fast, the 9 days of
9 days of mourning and
of mourning with the 3 weeks
Yeah.
where we don't do dangerous things. We have Tisha B'av, we have 17 Tammuz, and that holiday of Passover, which is redemption for the Jewish people,
Okay.
right,
Yep.
is closest to the Esau's summer, which when a lot of things happen. I haven't done more research on this, but I know the 1948 war in Israel
Okay.
happened that year. I know
on its 8th year.
on the 8th year or 8th or 19th year, I don't know.
Okay.
The 1967 war happened. The 2003 expulsion of Gush Tatif in Gaza Strip,
Okay.
which really led to this war here. Pretty much.
And what year are we in?
We're in the 8th year, right? We're right now
eighth year.
we're in the 8th year. It happened in the 8th year. In
Yeah.
fact, it happened only because it was Sukkot. It was
No, it happened like 3 weeks after the 8th
year started. Yeah, the war that we have now. So it's really strange in Jewish history when you look at the 8th and 19th year when bad things happen.
I'm sure we can get into this eventually. Not now.
Yeah,
But is time a line or more like a coil?
Huh?
Right? Because if
Right.
time's more like a coil, then events are repeating.
Life does repeat itself.
So
I mean, who would have ever thought? And I don't want to focus this podcast on that.
that's way too much
Yeah,
time.
on how much hate there'd be in the Jewish people. How the Holocaust is going to happen again? You kidding me?
Look,
just-
we have a slogan. We have a slogan for it, and it says "Never Again." Right?
Yeah.
September 11th had a slogan "Never Again," and the Holocaust "Never Again." I'm sure there are other things that have happened that we say "Never Again."
Sure.
How often do eerily similar events actually happen like that? I think
I don't know.
they kind of do happen.
Yeah.
Even though we say "never again" and everything like that, it still happens.
Yeah.
As much as we don't want it to.
Yeah. Let's get into a little bit of this 48 ways of wisdom I wanted to talk
For
about
sure.
just, before we end this podcast. So lots of concept in this. But by the way, this book, if you want to get some clarity in life, this book's called The 48 Ways to Wisdom. It was written by, the concepts were written by Rabbi Noah Weinberg, the founder of Aish Torah, but it's written by Rabbi Cooper Smith and Rabbi Simmons, who are still with us today and who are very, very popular speakers and authors. And some of the things that these 48 Ways of Wisdom have in it are talks about effective listening, understanding the heart, the power of
happiness.
Huh?
Pursuit of happiness.
Yeah. Mastering fear, humility, joy, purity, serving the wise, examining ideas with friends.
Trusting wise men.
Trusting wise men. Making yourself a coach. They say make yourself a rabbi, but really it's making yourself someone. And by the way, this is such an important thing in life. I just can't believe that most people go into a situation, the biggest decision they're going to make in their life is what?
Marriage.
Who they're going to marry. Yet most people don't go into it with someone to guide them. Clear head, someone to guide them, a rabbi, a rebbitzin, a priest, someone, a parent to help guide them to make the right decisions in life.
Not only that, I think we're very blessed in the sense that we go through like Hassan training.
In the Torah
training.
In the Torah world, you're trained.
You're trained to be a good husband.
Yes.
And this wisdom's been passed down for thousands of years.
And if you're not, you're going to the wrong yeshiva. Just so you know. Right? Like you got to be trained.
No, it's not even that. It's like you're going down the wrong path of life.
Sure.
Right? Because it's like, how are you supposed to know what to do in XYZ situation whenever it comes up? It's going to come up. You're going to get into an argument. But it's how you resolve that argument, right? And so if you were trained a little bit before and you had conversations beforehand of saying like something like this is going to happen and we want to already like have it set up that this is what to expect, and here are ways in which you can talk to help like mitigate what's going on and work it so it's not you versus your wife, but instead it's you and your wife versus the problem.
Sure.
Right? And so
marriage is about we, not me.
Right. Exactly. And it's just very crucial for a lot of relationships, right? What's the divorce rate in America now?
It's about 60%.
60%?
Yeah.
If someone said, listen, you can't get out of this marriage once you get into it, divorce rate is going to be much less.
Sure.
But also, you look at the Catholic Church, they have, I think, the most amount of marriage therapists because they can't get divorced.
Sure.
Right? And so their divorce rate's 0 because they can't do it. But also, they have some of like the top marriage therapists in the world because they need to do it. And so they're starting to look at this Jewish wisdom of these like Chassan and Kala classes.
Sure.
Of how
Chassan and Kala are bride and groom.
Bride and groom.
Right.
And how to have the best and most successful relationship possible.
Sure. I like to teach those classes.
You do?
I would like to. I mean, I love teaching about marriage. I got a book coming out.
They're heavy classes.
Infinite Marriage.
Okay. 4
Phases of Loving Relationship will be out through Mosaic Press in the spring of 2023.
That's what that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll have to do an episode on that also.
For sure. Absolutely.
Anyway, I just wanted to touch a little bit about this 40 Ways of Wisdom. We're not going to get into it now, but I'd like to maybe film some podcasts with you based on some of these ideas.
Let's do it.
We're going to do it today because we don't.
Right. Yeah.
But effective listening, which is such an important thing about relationships, how to listen to somebody, what it means to listen to somebody. Understanding your heart, what you really want in life, and living your life for that purpose. You mentioned earlier in the podcast, if you don't know the why, how can you do the how? What's my purpose in life? The power of awe. Oh, that's so good. And one of my favorites, joy. Living with joy.
I can't imagine why it's your favorite.
I don't know why. It just is one of my favorites. Living with joy, finding joy in everything in life. I was flying home from Miami a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And when you fly from Miami, I think it leaves at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and like about 2 hours in the flight, you get your dinner. They give you dinner, and then you sleep, and then you'll
hopefully you sleep.
Well, not from Miami, you don't. And I was sitting next to 2 people, and the guy says, "How's the food?" I go, "It's great." And the woman, I guess his partner, and him is like, "What do you mean it's great?" I'm like, "I'm sitting at like 35,000 feet, going 600 miles per hour in an aluminum tube, and some woman brings me a hot meal and a drink. What's not there to like? I mean, like, okay, the food's not great, but it's fine. I don't care. I'm happy."
No one's expecting a 5-star restaurant. When
No, but it's good, and that food is good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. They've gotten pretty good at making this airplane food.
I think the best thing about the airplane food
Yeah.
is when you order kosher meal, you get it first. So you get,
Yeah, I know,
you're
it's
basically
funny.
done with your meal by the time everyone gets there.
I know, it's so
you
fast.
can be napping when they're all coming through.
Sure. Well, Corey, it's been great having you on the show. I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited.
Pleasure.
You just got married. How long ago? 6 months ago?
A year.
A year ago.
A
And
year.
you had your first baby,
Change, yeah.
and life's like you're in the middle of the best part of life.
Yep.
And we want to get the wisdom from you that can help people live with clarity in life, because that's what I want from everybody, all my listeners. My goal for this podcast is for you to reach your potential in life and all aspects of life. And that has to do with relationships, dating, marriage, finance, spirituality, self-esteem, all the things that are very important for people to be happy. And I hope that we can, with your help, we can help bring that clarity to our audience.
I really hope so.
All right. This is Coach Ratner on the Living in Clarity podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, folks.